and welcome to the Holy Hour podcast, the bi-weekly all-cure podcast. I'm Gavin, and we have another lovely installment of the Shows of a Lost World Tour update for you guys. Tonight, we're going to be looking at the 3 shows in LA. Looked like there were 3 successful, awesome shows that everybody seems pretty satisfied with, covering the Hollywood Bowl out in Los Angeles, California. Nights 1, 2, and 3 were also shows number 8, 9, and 10 on the tour. And let's dive right in. The first show was on May 23rd, Tuesday night at the Hollywood Bowl. I got to watch a live stream pretty closely on that one through NYX Cured on Instagram, so thank you. It was a very good live stream that night. In fact, I was able to even see Robert's little ponytail in the back was tied with a red ribbon. I don't know how common that has been on this tour, but that's how good the Zoom was on this live stream. So everybody was looking good. Did seem like there was some kind of health scare, maybe slightly small S scare going around. I believe in a comment somewhere in between the songs, Robert had mentioned that if one of them gets a stomach bug, everybody gets it. And so maybe a bad taco or something in California on their way up to LA. But no real evidence of it, and it didn't really prove to be any lasting threat as they journeyed on through and up to San Francisco. But something to maybe consider on a few little weird parts of these shows as they covered LA. In this first one, Roger ducked out during the set at one point for like 4 songs. I don't know if that was related to the stomach bug or if he just had to go check an email or something, but who knows. But it was like during Primary and Shake Dog Shake, and he missed Push too, I believe. So songs that have keys but aren't necessarily huge. But yeah, so who knows the reason. He didn't seem like he was hurting or anything otherwise based on that, but a bit odd just from the live stream perspective anyway. It was hard to tell, so don't want to speculate too far, but everybody seemed pretty solid in the grand scheme of things. The set list for the first night was a pretty solid set list as always. In the number 6 slot we had Last Day of Summer, and then Burn actually bumped up a little to the number 8 spot. And number 9, they debuted a new song, the 6th new song from the elusive, alleged new album called Another Happy Birthday.
And your birthday is the worst day. I'm singing to a ghost. Happy birthday. I forget how it goes.
And people on the internet were great on this one. They jumped on it pretty quickly, spotting that the music for this new song was in fact one of the instrumental demos from the Bloodflower sessions that hadn't been used, but it's on, been leaked since, and it's actually the number 1 Lost Flower demo floating around out there. And Robert put a vocal melody over it and some great lyrics, and it's going to be on the new album. It was on the leaked, rumored track listing that popped up a few months back. So definitely some credit and weight to that. And supposedly going to be on the album. So it's a cool song. It's very slow, very somber. Definitely fits the theme, but it's even maybe more of a downer than a lot of the other ones, even a little less epic. Shorter though. So So we got a first taste of this one. And unfortunately during the live stream, my phone battery, I was watching the live stream and it died right before that song. And I was like, should I just go to bed? What are the chances of something like this happening? And I was like, hell with it. I'll charge it up a little bit, see. And right as it charged and then kicked back in, it was like the very last 2 lines of that new song that I've never heard. I was like, oh! And sure enough, somebody had put a video of it up the next day immediately. So I was able to listen to it a little closer. But so that was kind of in the place of where Cold had been. And then in the 10 slot was Charlotte Sometimes. But around this show is when we're officially going to just scratch the 6, 10, and 12 idea, because this is just kind of falls apart quick. I believe something like that happened in Europe too, when we thought we had the whole formula and the template kind of mapped out for the whole Cure tour, and then they just go and shuffle everything a little bit so much that it doesn't really make much sense. So maybe we'll go back to the way we did it in Europe and just say what were the highlight ones that aren't guarantees and had been rotated in and out. But still somewhat sticking it to it on this one. Show it sometimes at number 10, which we hadn't heard every night. Around that time is when Roger ducked out for Push. Robert walked over while playing the intro and guitar and did a little finger slide on the piano part to get the little bling on Push, so that was kind of cool. And like I said, we got Primary and Shake Dog Shake in there without Roger, but he came back just in time for From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, which, I think he probably would have technically been safe to let Perry cover that one with the piano part of From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, because we all know that one's definitely the one that challenges Roger the most. Wink, wink. But no, he came back and he seemed in good spirits. So who knows if he was just had to duck out for a second for some other reason. But came back in. Encore 1 was I Could Never Say Goodbye, followed by It Could Never Be the Same as It Has Been. And then they got 1,000 Hours, At Night in Forest. So. And the Encore 2 was the original Notorious 9 pop encore. So they got all those in there and 1,000 Hours. So pretty solid set list. Great opening night in LA. Sounded pretty good. The band was on point. Despite any rough tummies or anything going around, rumbling tummies or anything. They sounded great from what I heard, and everyone that scoped it out didn't see any complaints there. So let's go on to night 2 then. Show number 9, May 24th, Wednesday night, Hollywood Bowl. And I only saw a few songs on the live stream on this one because that was the Wednesday night we were talking to Vance Kelly, actually, artist of the New Orleans poster. If you haven't heard that official longer episode, go check that one out. It was a wonderful conversation with myself and Kate and Vance Kelly talking art. So go check that out. But I did have a poke in again on a little bit of that. Robert was rocking a nice rainbow pride heart shirt. Good place maybe to say a big shout out to our man Chris Carty on a Facebook page. I believe it's in the Shows of a Lost World Facebook group. And he's actually started up a whole keeping track of Robert's t-shirts every night. I think just now in San Francisco he started to repeat them, but otherwise they've been a different shirt every night. So he's got the track listing for that over there. And also he'd shout out to Chris for making a valiant effort to swap out that horrific Wikipedia picture. He did it. He took all these great pictures, and I just commented, wow, somebody should switch it out. And he was able to hack in there. He owns the rights to the pictures, swapped it out. It looked great. Looked like we had a successful transition from that horrible picture. But then it switched back. So he said that the reason was somebody told him, I don't know who sent the message back, but the picture wasn't high quality enough, or maybe it was kind of leaning more towards, since it was a farther away shot, it wasn't zoomed in close enough. So he said he's going to attempt again at some point, because he did have some more close-up shots of Robert that look 10 times better than what the hell's up there now. I don't know who's fighting to keep this picture up. It must be the person that took it, because there's no one, it seems like they're arguing that that's a better picture. So we'll keep at it. I'll still keep this complaint rolling, but for a few moments there, it felt like a joyous victory. So credit to you, Chris. Awesome pictures anyway. You should try to track him down and see those pictures, because he took some really great pictures at must have been somewhere around here. First LA show, maybe. Might have even been the second San Diego one. But anyway, just wanted to shout out Chris Carty on Facebook there. Great photos, and thank you for your efforts. Set list for night 2 was pretty straightforward. No huge surprises. Love Song and Nothing Is Forever was bumped up a little earlier than normal, so now they're in the 3 and 4 slot, which I guess they're kind of always there. So bumped up maybe by 1. With If Only Tonight We Could Sleep played 5th. So that was cool to see that back in there and rotated in. The Fragile Thing, Cold Burn Trio was back in the list, which is always nice. And number 9, again, is another Happy Birthday. So for second night in a row, we get this one in the 9 spot. So this is totally throwing off my 6, 10, 12 theory. So we'll officially lay that to rest here. A night like this is just bumped way down when it had been really early in the sets. So in the number 10 slot, and we got Play for Today at 12. So songs that have been fairly common but just kind of shuffled around, and they get the early A Forest again. Apparently in this version, on this night of A Forest, Simon did throw in a little Iron Maiden nod on a riff near the outro of A Forest, of Death of the Celts. I'm not too familiar with my Iron Maiden, so I'll just take their word for it. But yeah, so check that out. I'm sure there's a clip somewhere on YouTube. You get to hear him riffing a little bit at the end of A Forest. And I went into Encore 1, which was fairly similar. I Can Never Say Goodbye. It Can Never Be the Same. And then they did the Plain Song, At Night Disintegration trio there for that one. And of course, the original Notorious 9 again at the end, including 6 different ways. So pretty cool. No Shake Dog Shake or 1,000 Hours on the second Hollywood night. So if you're gonna have to lose some to gain some, as they say. And I made a note at the time that I feel like we hadn't heard back from Fascination Street in a long time. It was like maybe opening night in New Orleans, the last time they played Fascination Street. And what about Trust and Three Imaginary Boys? They made their debut, but hadn't come back yet. Time. I guess that's the beauty of doing 3 nights in LA. But before we totally dive into night 3, let's recap night 2 and 3 with a wonderful contribution from a listener. We got a little snippet segment sent in from our buddy Chip Ross. So thank you so much, Chip Ross. He was at nights 2 and 3 and wanted to give us a first-hand account. So send it on over to Chip.
Hey Gavin, it's Chip here. I'm going to leave you my review on 2 nights with The Cure at the Hollywood Bowl. I went to night 2 and night 3 and almost went to night 1, but the finances weren't quite there. But on night 1, I did stop by Andy's pre-show meetup. He was on your podcast a few weeks ago, and he set up all these meetups that I hope other fans went to. That was really nice to meet some folks there. Anyway, I went night 2 and 3, and the set list on each night was different enough for me to feel really happy to have seen 2 shows. I got to see 3 songs that I've always wanted to see live: If Only Tonight We Can Sleep, Want, and Burn. The one song I didn't get to see was 1,000 Hours, which they only played on night 1. I was really worried they were going to pull out an exclusive or kind of crazy rare song like This Twilight Garden and play that the night I didn't go, but they didn't. I would just die if they played that song and I wasn't there to hear it. But maybe they will somewhere else in the tour. But about the show, Robert was in great spirits, and he seemed to almost kind of play with the audience, especially those at home who track set list. He made a joke saying something like, "You think you know what's going to happen next, but you don't." And he switched up the song. So I think he's playing off of all of us uber Cure fans that way. Other things, what was interesting is the crowd was very young, actually all ages, but I saw a lot of young people having fun. And I looked at the crowd purposely a few times just to kind of see, and I just saw such happiness and joy in faces, including my own obviously, but just to see it from that view was amazing, and it made the nights really special. I will say the new songs, as soon as he said this is a new song, people took that as permission to sit down. Take that as you will. There was quite a few moments, especially on night 3, where people were sitting down throughout the show, especially during some of the more mellow songs, and like I said, the new ones. But then people popped up. I gotta say, Lullaby probably got the biggest reaction from the crowd. Dancing, and of course the end of the show with the big pop hits had a lot too. Last thing I want to say is that I actually had a ticket to night 3 that I sold within 1 minute on Ticketmaster after I had snagged a better ticket. So the fan-to-fan experience of reselling tickets at face value worked well for me. I had to refresh Ticketmaster like all day, but it worked. And I just thank Robert for setting that up. And thank you, Gavin, for having this forum for us to give our Cure thoughts. See you later.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Chip. Thank you for listening and contributing. I really appreciate it and giving us this firsthand account. Sounds like 2 amazing nights for sure. And always cool to hear the details there, and that everybody was having a blast, and glad that the ticket thing worked out good too. So yeah, people seem to be having some luck with the upgrades if you're willing to take the gamble and find something better. At least it seems possible, and people, it's working out. So that leads us to night 3, which happened to fall on May 25th, Thursday night, the 10th show of the tour at the Hollywood Bowl. And just, what do you know? Look who's here. Hello, Scott. You were there, weren't you?
I was. What's up, nerd?
Hey, man.
I was there. My wife and I made the long journey, the 2-hour journey down to the Hollywood Bowl. And
is it 2 hours from you?
Yeah, it's
Really?
about 2 hours.
Yeah.
We celebrating. It was our 26th wedding anniversary on Wednesday, the night before the show. So we wanted to make a weekend of it, and we took Thursday off. Went down there Thursday, stayed the night in Burbank, this cool little hotel down this about 20 minutes from the place.
Cool.
And had to make sure we had time to get to Andy's thing and get to the show and everywhere in between. So yeah, it was a great weekend. We started off though. I took her to this place called the Last Bookstore, which is in it's like 3 blocks over from Skid Row in Los Angeles.
Okay.
But it looks really cool on the inside. So we go inside and it's like, oh, it's just a bookstore. There's like a room with some cool art, and otherwise it's just a big old bookstore. I'm like, a little disappointed. Hopefully the Cure is better. So.
It's always good to try out those new spots, though, right? So yeah, that's good.
It is. You got to give it a shot, right? They had records there, so that was kind of cool. They had some comics there, which is always, being a nerd, it's always fun to hit the old comic shop.
Did you buy anything, or just
not a damn thing? I was saving up all my money for the Cure that night.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So you hit up the bookstore. Did you have a fancy dinner?
We actually had dinner at the Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood, at Hollywood and Highland. Okay. Right across the street from Jimmy Kimmel's studio where he does his show. Okay. And the Ghirardelli store, and it's a really cool little place that the area itself is really kind of awesome because it's like the Mecca. You've got the stars on the sidewalk right outside the location. That's where they film the Oscars. So you've got that theaters right there, and it's just kind of a cool vibe. And to me, I've lived in California my entire life, but going to Hollywood is just something we never did because honestly, it is a shit area. It is awful. And but that little zone right there over the last 20 years or so, they've really built it up, and it's a cool spot in the middle of gross.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of visited like just the main strip there, but it's always like when you don't really know what you're in, I'm like, oh cool, but I could see it going that way where we've wandered it a few times. Go like one block over and you're just like, this doesn't seem as glamorous now.
Turn around and walk right back where you are. It's safer. There used to be a Virgin Megastore there that I could spend hours at the Virgin Megastore. And it's I think Julie had it written in our vows when we got married all those years ago. Thou shalt not make me walk through a music store for 3 hours at a time anymore. So I try not to do that to her.
Totally. It's gotta pick and choose your moments. not on anniversary night for sure.
The cool thing though about the Cure, a little bit of history with us and the Cure. Whenever I met her, I met her. I was 16 and she was 14, and we didn't. I turned 17, and I somewhere in between there. I'm like, I really like this cute girl. I really want to ask her out, but I had no game at all. So, just a skinny nerd that just, glasses and a mullet and the whole bit. And I was like, I have no game at all. So I handed her a mixtape with my phone number on it. And the mixtape on one side was The Cure, and on the other side was Susie and the Banshees.
Awesome.
And she said I didn't need to give her the tape.
Yeah,
I was good to go already. But her music taste verged on Madonna and Tone Loc at the time. So whenever I handed her this, she's like, what the hell is this? So The Cure in 92, and they came around to the Rose Bowl. That was her first concert. I took her to her first concert. Awesome. She was 15 years old, and it's my first time seeing The Cure. And man, that show just blew us away. So being our 26th wedding anniversary, it kind of, it's a little special, to go see them on the day after our anniversary. Couldn't get tickets for the day of, but the day after, close enough.
Close enough. Works. Yeah, that makes it so much more special. I love it. That's so cool. Yeah, and I love the idea of like, well, even if the phone number doesn't work out, you got Cure on one side. It's like you still spread the gospel, and it's all
exactly. It's a win-win for her either way.
Yeah,
right?
so
I guess.
Did she think that your phone number was a Cure song forever? Like that was one of the tracks.
No, I think it was Pictures of You.
Yeah,
Pictures of You is the one that really snared her.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? Not just like Heaven? She's like, oh, it was good, but Pictures of You was really
nice.
good. So I'm like, all right.
Very cool. Yeah, what a cool way to celebrate this then. That's so cool. And so you made the rounds and kicked off the evening.
We got to the Hard Rock Cafe, and it was a really nice little setup that Andy had going on. He had us over in the corner next to the stage, and just a little area that was cordoned off. There was a preset menu that we got to choose from. Included cookies for dessert if we wanted cookies.
Nice.
So, chocolate chip cookies can never go wrong.
Yeah,
Andy had a little table set up at the front, and you just walked up, and he had all those DVDs set up. I wanted to get there on time or early so I could try and get my hands on some of those DVDs.
Yeah.
And I got one, Julie got one. So we got one for each of the shows that he had. And we got the little necklaces that he had there. And I got this, where is it? I got my first Push Cure fanzine. So that's cool. I never had a copy of that before. It's awesome. So, and I got this really cool kick-ass Holy Hour podcast sticker. It's very, very cool. I think I might have a complete collection now of Holy Hour stickers.
Yeah, I think you got all of them. Hopefully, there hasn't been too many, but we try to vary up the color every 100 episodes or so. Cool.
So I want to say about 20 minutes in, the Hard Rock turned on all Cure videos. So everybody in the restaurant was being treated to the Cure's greatest hits. Basically,
what the hell's going on? It's like
exactly, but it's funny because you go walk around, you got to go to the restroom or something, and as you're walking towards restrooms and stuff, there were kids dancing God, what was it that was playing? Friday I'm in Love. Kids was just literally dancing in the aisles of the Hard Rock Cafe. I'm like, that's what this is all about right here. Spreading the love, man.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. So there were, he had his giveaways, and we didn't win a damn thing, but that's okay because I feel like we kind of won just by getting to go and hang out and see people, But it is funny. My wife and I, we chose a seat with plain view of Andy, what he had going on, and there were seats scattered all around, and just Cure people being Cure people. Few people made eye contact. It was just like they're in their own little world. Just don't bother me. Don't talk to me. And I'm like, hi.
Yeah.
And they're like, whatever.
Yeah. I can totally see it. Plus, Cure fans, a few hours before a Cure show too, everyone's like game day locked in the zone, and you're like plotting out every little thing in your head, probably. So.
There was one lady who sat down, and she was with a group of 4, and she turned around, she goes, "The Cure, am I right?" And I'm like, hell yeah. she was she kind of an icebreaker. She's like probably about the same age. First time she had ever been to a Cure show. So she was super pumped to see him. And
awesome.
Yeah, that was cool seeing her excitement.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I'm glad it sounded like a success and people got together and had some good pre-gaming. And this was all fairly close to the venue too?
It was about a 5-minute drive on a good day. Yeah. But since there was a concert and it's the Hollywood Bowl, which I don't know if you've ever been to the Hollywood Bowl.
No, that's I was going to ask some questions, but parking
at the Hollywood Bowl is a goddamn nightmare, man. They will literally stack you one in front of the other, car to car to car to car. And if you're waiting on somebody who's still up in the North 40 who hasn't gotten down, you're there all night. Wow. You can't get out until they move them first. So the idea is to park somewhere else and get shuttled in. And we weren't sure exactly where that was going to be. And as we're driving up to the Hollywood and Highland, because we knew that's where we had to be for Hard Rock, I turned on one of Andy's Instagram videos that he did. And he's like, okay, here's what you want to do. You want to park at the Ovation parking structure at Hollywood and Highland. And I'm like, oh, where the hell's that? And Julie goes, right there. There was a sign that said Ovation. So you turn in there, you park. It was $20. You park for 24 hours there. And then there's a shuttle that drove your ass up to the Hollywood Bowl.
Nice. Andy, this guy.
It was great. It was great. So Andy again for the win, man. Andy really did his due diligence and his homework on this show.
He's like ushering in the parking and doing valet parking for everybody. So this guy's amazing.
I know, right? What can't he do? It's incredible. That's good. But it was getting there took, I want to say, for a 5-minute drive on a good day, it took about a half hour to get there.
Yeah. Wow.
As we just sit there through lights and lights and lights. We get out of the bus and there is this enormous line that goes there's a merch booth right outside the ticket taker.
Yeah.
And that merch booth, the line went all the way down past all the parking onto Hollywood. I forget what the name of the street was at the time, but down to the street. Right. And we're like, okay, no, it can't be that bad on the inside, right? Yeah. So we scan our ticket, or we scan the phones, which that was more stressful in my head than it actually ended up being whenever we were there. It wasn't so bad.
Okay, good.
I kept expecting like your ticket's invalid or something like that. No,
are you really verified? It's like, no, we're going to need a blood sample. It's like, no.
Blood sample. Here's my DNA. Yeah. I swear to God, this is me. I'm a true fan. So we get inside the venue and we walk right up to a merch booth and we're like, oh, there it is. Oh shit, there's the line. Oh my God, it's longer than the line outside. So
damn. Yeah, I've been hearing that at a lot of shows. Like, how did this turn into another thing? Like the history of going to shows, like now this is like one of those, well, ever since COVID, now merch lines are like really long. And what's the problem? It's the same amount of people that were always coming. I don't get how this is an issue.
It is. I don't know, man, but they had, because there were two main merch lines at the bottom, or two main merch booths at the bottom. There was one at the very top. The one at the very top had about, I want to say 2/3 of the available merchandise that the other ones had. So the one on the outside and the one that we saw whenever we first walked in had the big variety.
Okay.
The other two that we found had the 2/3 variety.
Right.
And then they had a QR code, and the QR code said, scan here, order it, and we'll call you when your order is ready. You can come up and pick it up. And I'm like, okay. So I scanned it. The fucking QR code didn't work. It kept just timing out on me. So I'm like, all right. So we just live in this line right now. Yeah. We live here. This is it. Might as well move in. We now live at the Hollywood Bowl. So I stood in line and Julie went to the restroom and she came back and I went to the restroom. Then I came back and she went and looked at the merch and she came back. We tried to ping pong it, that way we weren't just standing there
going totally crazy,
not talking to anybody, because of course Cure fans don't want to talk to anybody.
God forbid.
I know, right? But it was kind of cool though. You try to communicate with those around you, and if sometimes you're kind of willing, and it's cool. But we finally get to the end of the merch line. We get our stuff, and then we're like, okay, well, the Twilight Sad's already playing. We've already seen the Twilight Sad a couple times. It's fine.
Yeah.
We don't need to see the Twilight Sad again. I'd like him to vary it up a little bit, but at the same time, I'm happy for the Twilight Sad that they get such support from such an awesome band, you know? So we get drinks, we get popcorn, we go up to our seats. Our seats are great. They're a little off to the side, but it's the closest we've ever been at the Hollywood Bowl.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if you've never been to the Hollywood Bowl, it looks in pictures like it's not that big. The place is massive.
Is it? Yeah, I was gonna say it looked small. I think because of those little like compartments. I didn't know you have like a little booth or something almost. It was all of the seats like that, or they all have little like a little thing around it.
No, that's just like some of the expensive seating, the box seats.
Okay.
It's for like season ticket holders.
Okay.
I mean, there's season ticket holders everywhere, but that's like the expensive season ticket holders. They sit in those little booths.
Okay.
But it just, I mean, because we've seen Depeche Mode there a couple of times. We actually saw Coldplay back there whenever Coldplay was actually a decent band in the first couple of years.
Right.
You know, we saw them there, and it was all right.
Yeah.
But I was so happy with the seats we got. We didn't have to look at the screens or anything like that. We could see the band in plain sight. It was great.
Awesome.
And then, you know, we had people walk up to us. The very first people to walk up were like, "The Cure." And she was wasted. Next thing I know, she's vomiting on the floor. So she was escorted out. And it's
was this before they even started, or was it like?
It was. I want to say it was during song like 4.
Wow. Yeah,
I think she made it to Love Song, and that was it. And then she went,
oh man. Hope she's doing multiple shows. That was her drunk night.
Right?
Yeah.
And they never came back. Her and her friend never came back. So it's like, and Julie's like, could you imagine all this anticipation? And you're there, you're finally going to see the Cure, and the lights go down, the songs start, and it's a night like this, and pictures of you and Love Song, and that's the catalyst that makes you lose your lunch.
I'm done.
And you leave.
Yeah, we gotta go. And then you're stuck in the parking lot for the next 3 hours anyway, bro.
I hope to God they were able to get in through one of those trams, because that was awful.
Terrible. Sorry if that person's listening out there. I
know,
feel
right?
for you. Kind of, but come on.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just thinking along the timeline there then. So yeah, Hollywood Bowls always seems like an odd, because it's such like an iconic thing. I just remember from like a kid, like seeing the Monty Python live from the Hollywood Bowl, you know, all the way back then and stuff. And but you wonder, seeing the pictures, do you think it's an all right place to see them then? Is the sound good and stuff?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah,
sound is absolutely fantastic. As long as you're low, it's great, man.
Yeah,
but if you're in the North Fork, if you're way up there, you are way the fuck up there.
Yeah.
There is you need binoculars if you're way up there.
Yeah.
The thing I don't know if I like it or don't like it. It's kind of a toss up, but you're sitting on benches, and the benches have the numbers carved into the wood.
Oh wow.
On the seat back.
Yeah.
So you can rent cushions for $1.
Of course.
And you bet your ass we did.
Yeah.
We weren't betting our asses. So we paid a couple bucks, got some cushions, and we had comfy chairs.
There you go.
But that being said, then you're packed in like, you got your arms folded, you got people on either side squeezing into you. And so whenever the ladies did leave, it's like, ooh, okay, we can breathe a little bit now. It opened up.
Awesome.
But it's the sound though is really good. You can see why it is that because you're in a canyon.
Yeah.
So they're at the bottom of the canyon, and the sound just kind of envelops the whole area.
Wow.
So it's got great acoustics.
Cool. Good to hear. Yeah. So yeah, as far as when they came out and stuff, the epic rain noises and everything, did it?
Oh yeah,
the hit the way
rain
that you
noises,
had been anticipating.
The thunder, the lights where we're going with it. It just
cool.
Nobody starts a show quite like them.
Right.
It's always such an iconic moment.
Yeah.
And you get Robert out there, and Robert, whenever he first comes out, he kind of ambles around, and he goes to one side of the stage and the other side of the stage. And I've seen this of course, this is like it's only like my 8th time seeing him. You know, it's not like we've seen, 30 shows or something like that. But it seems to me like he just truly he's in a place now where he just truly enjoys the energy coming from the crowd, and it just, the look of appreciation on his face it's so great. I can't think of another word for it. We see bands all the time, and there are very few, sometimes you get them and they're kind of like, yeah, you're here to see us, we're hot shit, we're gonna play it, but they get up there and you really truly feel like you're part of this experience. You're part of this experience, they're part of it, they're sharing this energy with you, and it, not to sound too hippy dippy, and it really does feel it.
Just watching the videos of it is crazy, because people will just lock on him, and he just looks so sincerely, like you're saying, just really absorbing it all. And he's not like somebody that seemed overly like he's an actor or anything. He seems like he's always just doing his thing. If anything else, he's a little just despondent, cut off or something. But now in later years, it totally seems like he's doing this on purpose and kind of going out, reaching out to everybody beforehand with the long intro, and because Plain Song always had that a little bit,
taking flowers from people and whatever gifts they have. There was one video where somebody gave him a rose and he was singing to them. And I'm like, what the hell? This is amazing. And then at the end of the show, whenever they're saying their goodbyes and the rest of the band is there, he stays on stage, and it's almost like he's making eye contact with everybody in the stadium or the arena or whatever. And just almost personally thanking them for being there, and he's holding his heart, and he's like, it's so fucking heartfelt. It's like, really, this guy, after all these years, man, I'd be like, I'm tired. It's been 3 hours of my life. I'm gonna go get a drink and have a nap. Okay. But not him, man. He just stands out there and just kind of basks in it. And everybody's like, Robert, we love you. And the rest of you guys are okay too.
Right. That's awesome. So I guess before we dive into the actual set list, then other than the girls that bowed out pretty early, what was the crowd energy? Seemed pretty cool, or were they a little all over the place? What was the crowd like?
Crowd was great. Crowd was great. We didn't have a lot of talkers, which I've noticed a lot of lately in the videos. Is so many people, they're just whenever the show is going, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up. It's here. You've waited this long. You've spent money to be here. Shut up.
And that's the thing. Right that time that I'm like listening to like in the video, I'm like, what is that person talking about? What could be so important?
And that's so distracting because you're there trying to even watch the video. And the video's distracting because of the people talking, and it's like, wait, what's happening right now?
Well, that's good. You're free.
But no, I'm turning around, and there's a couple times where I'm looking behind me at the audience, and just like, it's just a sea of people just undulating with the music, and it's just such an experience. And you're one of the only people I know of, other than my wife, that I can talk to that gets it. You truly get it. It's one of my best friends, Kevin. He's like, oh, you're going to go see that band that sings about songs about, loving cats on Fridays and stuff. And I'm like, yes, Kevin, I'm going to go see the Cat Loving Friday band. Okay.
Exactly.
But if they were to actually go and sit down or stand up and watch the show, you'd get it.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And then the fact that it can be so much of all that, I think these set lists have been really amazing, because you get maybe even a bigger dose of that with these new songs sprinkled in, where there are these songs that aren't necessarily poppy ones that are grabbing everybody's attention, but the emotion is so there, and you get where he's coming from all these years, and it's just kind of all coming together in this perfect storm of cureness. So you were
truly. I mean, it's they kicked it off with Alone, which they've been doing every night, and I've watched it a couple of times. I've watched all of these songs a couple times on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good song. But to actually be there, whenever they're performing it's
really absorbs.
Especially Alone. Alone is a great song. So is End Song, and it's just great music, man. I cannot wait for. It's driving me crazy that I don't know these songs by heart.
Yeah, totally. I've been listening to these shitty bootlegs now way more than I thought I would. So it's just like, but
I know. But yeah, they go from Alone into Pictures of You. It's something else. Let's put it that way. It's just that's there's something about Pictures of You whenever they play it that it just always sounds incredible. Yeah. And the music and his voice were just spot on. And I'm gonna say this, and it might stir up some crap. Yeah. And what I'm gonna say is, I've seen the Cure several times now. They have never put on a bad show. Right. But something happened the run of the first encore, where it's just like the energy just plummeted.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
On encore one.
To the point where, in the first 17 songs, he was belting out everything. I mean, he was giving it the gusto. He was really giving it his all, and it was incredible. But then, we get into, and, it was, let's see, Alone, Pictures of You, A Night Like This, Love Song, Nothing Is Forever, It Can Never Be the Same, Trust, which is funny. He plays It Can Never Be the Same. Yeah. And it's, such a downer of a song. And at the end of it, he says, so that was so sad. We're going to play something that's a little more uplifting. So they play Trust.
Right. Plunge you into the deep end there.
Exactly. Just, okay. This is uplifting. I guess. Yeah. A Fragile Thing, Three Imaginary Boys, A Strange Day, which is my jam. I love A Strange Day. Anytime they want to play that, I am there. I love that song. Burn, which I swear to God, if there's anybody who still gives Jason Cooper shit about not being Boris Williams, I just want to punch him in the face.
Right. It sounds
you just
madness.
You just watch him, and I'm looking at Julia. The one thing I did say, I'm like, are you looking at this? Because they point the camera at him, and you just see him going to town. I'm like, how? How does that dude do it? From Burn into Fascination Street into Push, Forest, Shake Dog Shake, Edge of the Deep Green Sea, and then End Song. Yeah. And I mean, those are the first 17 songs. It's like, okay, quick, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because big beers, beer. Back up so we can watch the rest of it. But
and that was the first one where they took a few out and they'd all had been 15 songs for the main set, and that one they made it 2 longer on there, so you got 17 in the main set, and they shortened the final encore, I think it is. Yeah, instead of 9, it went back to like 7 for the pop encore. So yeah, cool. And it was weird because I had a note from the previous night in LA where they had I was like, oh yeah, they haven't played Fascination Street, Trust, or I think it was Strange Day, maybe. Like they'd only done those like once or something leading up to that. So and there they were for you. So yeah, you got some.
There they were for me. But I didn't get 6 different ways, and I didn't get 1,000 hours, which I'm so bummed. But at the same time, how could you be bummed at seeing all of these iconic songs?
Had you looked at the set list much of the 2 before, like kind of knowing that they might just do the filler?
Not the 2 Hollywood Bowls. Okay. I did not look at the Hollywood Bowl shows. I looked at everything leading up to it, but something in me said, don't look at the Hollywood Bowl shows, just be surprised.
Yeah, that's a good way to cut it there, because you get the feeling that they were just kind of like, well, we did this, didn't do it. Like they were at least mixing it up within those 3, which is cool, because there's people that probably went to all 3, and but yeah, you by math, you could start probably being like, oh yeah, they're probably not going to do this and this. So
there's an algebraic equation backstage on a whiteboard that they're like, okay, we have to move these. Yeah. But I started noticing though, whenever they were doing Shake Dog Shake, that the energy was starting to drop a little.
Yeah. So
he was starting to kind of mess up lyrics to the songs a little bit. He kind of always messes around with lyrics and stuff.
Yeah.
You said, but then we get back into the encore, the first encore, and it's I Can Never Say Goodbye, and Want was great.
Okay.
Another Happy Birthday, which that was only the second time I'd ever heard that song at all. I'd listened to it once on YouTube, and I'm like, no, I don't want to hear anymore.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Plain Song was incredible. Okay. Plain Song was, so I say the energy dropped, but just in a couple of songs, the energy kind of dropped. But then Disintegration, he came out and did Disintegration.
Okay.
And I've listened to it again on YouTube 3 times since. And even Robert Smith, whenever he came back out for the second encore, I had to listen to it a couple times because I do believe, he kind of talks a little slurry sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he says, I really shit the bed on that one. Even he said it, and Julie's like, did he say that? And I'm like, I think he did. And then I listened to it a couple more times. Yeah, he did. The lyrics were all over the place. He was repeating things. He wasn't saying the right things.
Right.
The hi-hat on the drums was mixed in so loud that it was distracting. It was, and it didn't, I mean, the rhythm was right for it, but it was so high in the mix that it was almost as loud as the snare drum. And it was like, oh God, it's just so offbeat and weird. It just, you can
I'll
see
check it out.
or hear it if you listen to it.
That is a tough one. And it's one that I've kind of touched on even back in the 2016 tour, where I felt like the second one I saw him in Atlanta, if he's not like totally 100% into that, one can drag, or he has to kind of bump it down, and he can't do like where he takes it up, the vocals on it, and it starts to kind of just drag, and it just feels kind of painful, which I totally understand. It's a hard as shit song to like belt out and get it all right, but
possible song. There's so many lyrics, and he's just bam, 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 bam. But at the same time, it's like when it's off, it's off. Yeah, and it was off, and out of all the songs that they played, that was the one that was just kind of off. But it just felt like, though, in the first part, that it was just kind of he was waning a little bit. And but yeah, Disintegration, that one I
was gonna ask you too if you felt that they all, because there was some kind of, I didn't quite, if anything was official, but people were more rumor talking about like some kind of stomach bug or something was going on. I noticed on the live stream of the first LA one, like Roger like ducked out for like 4 songs in the middle of the set, like he just like left, like I don't know. Wow. I don't know. It was kind of like during like a run of like Primary and couple ones that
they got Primary.
It was like Primary and Shake Dog Shake, I think, like stuff he plays on, but it's not really like a huge keys heavy song, so I don't know if it was related to that or what. But then I think somebody said that he had actually said on the mic that we're all kind of passing around a stomach bug or something and weren't in top form. Well, so I wonder if he was kind of lingering from that, maybe. Who knows? But
it would absolutely make sense then that the energy was starting to wane a little bit right there.
By hour 2. By that point, that's a pretty good run. Most bands would just wrap it up there anyway. It's like now come out and play all your biggest hits. It's like, oh God.
Roger, though, he seemed like he was having the time of his life. He was up there banging his head and just going to town on the keyboards. And I've heard a lot of people talking nonsense about Perry. Why is Perry there and whatnot? And I'm looking at Perry. There was one song where for part of the song, he leaned back and he let them do his thing. And then he came up and he added some keyboard parts to it. And that was like the only song that he wasn't actively performing during the whole song. So I'm like, how about back off and let the band do what the band's going to do? I think it's epic to look up there on stage and see the 6 members up there playing their asses off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't get what the hell they're expecting him to be like doing cartwheels behind the keys or something. It's like, let the dude just play.
Honestly, it's like a Plain Song and some of the other songs, like Burn. That was the best I'd ever seen Burn performed. Cool. And Plain Song was there's something about having that extra level of keyboards in it. The 2 keyboards playing at the same time that just added so much to it. It sounded so much richer than, just the single keyboard up there on stage. And awesome. I anytime they want to bring Perry, have Perry on stage, fuck go for it, man. That's awesome. Could ever
complain.
No.
It's awesome. And
second encore was Lullaby the Walk, Friday I'm in Love, which was awesome.
Cool.
You never seen so many people dressed in all black dancing around like a bunch of crazy people with Friday I'm in Love.
Totally. Yeah, it's always one of those ones when you look at it on paper, you're like, who cares, Friday I'm in Love? But then like when you're in the moment, caught up in it, and you're like, this is the best song ever. It's like, why can't I be used like that for me? Where I'm like, ugh, I could live without it. But then like every time I'm at a show, I'm like, why can't I? It's just like, this is great.
Yeah. They have this tendency of taking they could probably play Club America and I'd be like, all right, I'm man. That's like my most disliked song in the Cure's entire repertoire is that. I heard it today for the first time in like 2 years.
Yeah,
like,
little reminder.
Turn it off. It's making my ears hurt.
I don't think anyone's petitioning for that one to come back to the set. But,
probably not. But I tell you what, having Want as a mainstay.
That's
in
great.
The lives. Oh God, it's so good. There's so many opening songs that they played.
Yeah, that's
I'm looking at Shake Dog Shake, and I guess Alone is probably going to be the opener for the new album.
And it seems like it has
Plain
to be.
Song. Dude, they could do an entire concert in the first section of the concert, just opening songs.
Yeah, that's what, like the last.
That'd be awesome.
One of the last times we had all the guys, and we were talking about how weird it is, like doing like Plain Song in the middle of the encore or something, like because it's such this epic opener. Well, it's like, but they're kind of at that point now where it's like those openers are such like classic great songs. You have to put them somewhere, and you can't open every. It's like you can't just do another encore for the sake of making it an opening song when you come back.
And they didn't. They put it second to last in the first encore. I'm like, what a weird spot.
Yeah,
but
it is odd.
It worked.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Who cares? By that point, everybody would still rather just hear it and not have it flow as nicely. It was like whatever. I'm like,
it's like not coming out and doing pictures of you. It's like, you don't do that.
So
you
weird.
don't do that. First time I saw The Cure at the Rose Bowl in '92, they did not do Plain Song, and it was such a bummer.
Yeah.
I was so bummed out with that.
They do
but
open the
you know,
whole
at the
Wish structure. Was it Open that they opened with then?
Yeah, they opened with Open, and I did not see them do Plain Song until I want to say it was the K-Rock Flashback to the Future concert they did with Duran Duran and Echo and the Bunnymen and all that.
Yeah, I remember it took a few for me too. Like, cause it was a little bit of a dry spell for a long time where they wouldn't use it as because it was always whatever the next, like Want was always the next opener for Swing Tour and stuff like that. So
yeah. So I was very happy, and I know it makes me sound like a big jerk whenever I say this. I was very happy they didn't play 39.
Yeah,
because they have played 39 at every show since that song debuted that I've been to, and I'm like, oh, please stop.
Yeah, it's more
the fire.
Just,
the fire is out, people.
Is
just douse the flames. The fire is
because it's kind of a longer one. Even like Hungry Ghost, it's pretty in and out without too much damage done and stuff. But it's like 39 does kind of go for a little longer, and it just keeps like it's more the real estate, like the valuable set list of you could probably put some other stuff in there,
put a couple of something else's in there to fill that space. It'd be great. So Friday I'm in Love, Close to Me, In Between Days is incredible as always. Just Like Heaven, and then they wrapped it with Boys Don't Cry.
What'd you think of the Power finale?
Energy was back. It's like whatever they did between the first and second encores backstage.
Okay.
Maybe they had a Red Bull. I don't know, but they came out and they were back on point. Maybe it was just the second or the first encore was all the slow jams. Other than Want, it was all pretty mellow.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, you still have Plain Song in there. It was gorgeous.
Cool.
But it's something.
I think it is just Disintegration's probably tough to pull off some nights. The song Disintegration is just like it's gonna click, and sometimes it's not gonna.
I noticed it kind of fading a little bit with Shake Dog Shake and From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, but by the time the second encore came back out, they were killing it again. It was incredible. So
that's great.
And then we couldn't find our way back to the bus.
Oh no!
Afterwards, so we had to walk back to Hollywood and Highland, which was not a big deal at all. But and then you had to pay for your parking back at the place, and all the parking kiosks were dead.
Oh no! What are you stuffing money into a thing, or what are you?
We just had to wait in yet another super long line for one of the two kiosks that were still operational to work.
Yeah.
And we're all just like, I just want to be back at the show. We don't need to do this. We just leave our car. You can do a third encore. It's fine.
Totally. It's all that extra time that you're like, oh, the Cure is nice and old now. They'll wrap this up by 11. We'll be home. We can have an extra drink and a nightcap. It's like, no, it's still going to be 3 a.m. by the time we get home.
I'm happy we had the hotel down there because without the hotel, it is a 2 to 2.5 hour drive to get home from Hollywood. And that is a drive through terrible places.
Definitely good. You made a night of it then and just stayed there.
Yeah.
Did you have any surprise with the set list of like highlights? You know, always like the idea of you go in wanting to hear the new songs and whatever rarities they've been playing. But was there anyone that like totally surprised you that it knocked you on your socks a bit more than?
Honestly, I know I've said it a couple of times already, but Plain Song, just the added richness to that. Cool. It was otherworldly. Yeah. It was just something else with the stars that they've got falling in curtains behind them, and it's one of those songs that just it just takes your breath away every time you hear it. And Burn, and Burn for being one of the later songs, post Wish songs. Right. It's just I don't see how it can get better every time it plays. I don't know how it can sound better live than it does in the album, the soundtrack, because soundtrack is that song in the soundtrack is great. But man, it is epic.
It's cool.
You see him breaking out the flute, and you know it's coming.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love that it's been so solid, like in every set since they finally broke it out. I still don't know why. I'm not gonna even ever try to bring it to his attention, or but it's so
not
weird.
Gonna look a gift horse in the mouth there, man. I'm just gonna take it and say thank you.
So weird, but it's like, man, that's a total classic from the start. So cool.
But no, those were the two that really. I mean, there's so many of them grabbed me, but those two right there, those two performances were just, that was it for me. That was the highlight.
Cool. And Trust is good. Rarity, like I was saying, you got like
beautiful.
As far as ones that they haven't played much on this tour, not necessarily super rare songs, but still rare enough ones. So that was cool. You got Trust through Imaginary Boys is always a good classic oldie, and Strange Day, like you're saying, that's always a gift when you get Strange Day in there, so that's cool.
I don't know what of their new songs I like the most though. Alone is so good. Alone is a really good one, but man, I think out of them all, I want to say probably A Fragile Thing is probably my least favorite out of them. But I mean, it's like pizza, even bad pizza is still pizza. Right. I'm not saying this is bad. It's just it's in the list of in a list of favorites. It is the least favorite.
It's still better than 39, right?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
How did you feel about Another Happy Birthday, the new one?
It's disguised in a pleasant title. It's what they do. They take a pleasant title, and it's like, oh, this is going to be happy, and no, it's so far from it.
Either dead or long gone, whoever he's having this birthday party for. This is not a fun night.
After each one of the new songs played, Julie would look at me and she's like, that was really pretty, but damn, that was sad. Every time.
It's just like, jeez. They always do hit a little harder live too, and you're like really seeing him pour it all out there. So and he's been saying that this new album, this mythical new album. I did wear my tour. Did you see the shirt I made? Oh yeah, you did. You bought the shirt. It's awesome. Did you wear it to the show?
Your interview with Andy. Your interview with Andy, whenever he said he was going to wear the Jurassic Park Lost World shirt, I'm like, oh my god, I've got an idea. So I had to draw it out.
It's great, man. I love it.
But that just reminds me, this mythical album that is it extinct? Is it coming? Who the hell knows? But
so weird.
For God's sakes, man, put the damn thing out. I want to hear these songs the way you want them to be heard. It's next time I see the band, I want to know these songs. And
I'm not sure the source or anything, but when I talked to Kate last time for that last episode, she said she had read somewhere. Somebody had heard like a quote, I'm not sure if it was from Robert or Reeves or something, where he had actually started to say shit like, well, I'm kind of liking the way they're sounding live better now than what we recorded. So we're in a bit of a... I was like, no, don't. But something along the lines of they were even recording, since I guess they're recording them all to the same tempo and stuff and at the show. So they might be able to just take a live track, which still seems tricky of how you would do that and get it to sound good. But I guess if you were just going in through a bunch of shit, you could technically take like Reeves's live solo maybe and put it over the click track of the studio version because they are playing to it, you know. So maybe it wouldn't set it back too far, but at the same time, I was just like, no. I just had this whole vision that it was like in the machine that's pressing it right now and putting the fucking, you know, foil on it or the plastic wrap on it, you know, slapping the stickers. It's on a truck. Somebody's sending it down the road any minute now. But now
he goes, never mind. We're going to do it live instead.
It's going to be a live album. I was like, ah.
You know what? At this point, I don't care.
Yeah,
just go ahead. I want these songs.
Yeah,
so I can listen to them, man.
And
you bring up Reeves too, and what another absolute wonderful addition to the band.
Yeah,
that dude can just shred, and you wouldn't think that a shredding guitar player would sound quite right with The Cure, but goddamn, if he doesn't, I mean, holy crap, that dude is amazing.
Gotta stand out so much more when you're actually there in the crowds, because I'm watching these live streams and just videos and something I've watched like, you know, a billion times in other versions, and then even with this lineup, but then if it's just the right angle or something, you catch what he's doing a little bit more, and I'm like, holy shit, man, it's just like this whole extra thing, you know. And it's cool because it is like different enough where he's putting his touch on it and it sounds cool, and you know, so I'm totally on board.
I was just about to say, a night like this has never sounded this good before.
It's really
so good. And Simon, the interplay between Reeves and Simon now, because Simon has always been, you know, Robert's right-hand guy. He would go mess around with Robert. Now you see that with Reeves and Robert. So, you know, it's just the trio up front are just rocking out with each other and having the time of their lives, it seems.
That's great.
And it's just it's awesome.
Cool deal.
But I do want to say real quick, the poster for the Hollywood Bowl show.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Fuck.
Worked down with it was like technically fine with them, but it just, for how great the other ones have been, and the fact that we were seeing that one so much because it's 3 nights and with the alternate version that they're all getting, and so it's like 6 versions basically of this poster that I'm like, I don't know, man, what's going on with his head?
And I get what they're trying to do, making it, you know, the trees and the girl that's lost in the forest and all that, but it just makes him look like he's got a massive bald spot on his head.
Yeah, it's
and then our night was green, so it looks like the Hulk is balding. And
Bald Hulk with a like Stranger Things girl floating up in the middle, and
exactly. And I
didn't like it because it was like so un-LA feeling. I didn't think there was any kind of nod to LA in it. You know, like all the other ones have had little kind of touches of something from the city, you know. And I was
thinking they could do something Art Deco with the old Hollywood feel to it, utilizing. I mean, the Hollywood Bowl is iconic. The Beatles played there, man. You know, you're going all the way back in time here to this iconic venue in the middle of Hollywood. They could have done something so cool and interesting with it. And Jules is like, as long as they put cats on it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Nope, no cats.
It's like the only one that doesn't have a cat on it.
Right? So I was thinking I might do my own just for fun.
Yeah, you should. That'd be great.
But that's the other thing, though. Good on Robert. Everything that he went through to try and make sure that the tickets stayed in the hands of fans.
Yeah,
I know it hindered some people, and I really do feel terrible for the people that it hindered that weren't able to get the tickets. But everything he did for that, it allowed us to get the tickets. It allowed us not to break the bank on really good seats.
Yeah.
And then we get there and the shirts are $25.
Yeah, that's rad.
They were $25 in 92.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The poster was the high dollar item at 30, you know, or I bought the hoodie too, because of course, you know, that was 50, but still, I mean, we just pay, oh God, who did we see? Depeche Mode. Mm-hmm. Fuck, man, Depeche Mode. It cost us $1,500 for the seats.
Jeez.
And then on top of that, it was $90 for the hoodie or for the long sleeve shirt. It was $50 or $60 for the t-shirt. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy that some people
that
it would vary that much. I mean, I wonder how much he really had to pull and push on that stuff, you know, but it's like, yeah, it's ridiculous that much. You can't cost that much. Just also sucks the fun out of it, you know. They're just like, oh yeah, well, I would buy 2 of these things if you know, you end up spending that much anyway if it was like, You know, like if it is a reasonable price, you'd probably buy like 2 t-shirts or, you know what I mean? But if it's just like,
I did.
Yeah. So it's like, but buying just like one really overpriced t-shirt isn't nearly as fun, you know? so very cool. And,
anyway, it's good on him
cool
for keeping the prices down for everybody. I mean, it's times are tough and you're spending your money to go to a show, which is completely and totally a luxury thing to do these days. Sure. And, you gotta love them for doing what they did.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out too, and you ended up with good seats too, and sounded like an awesome night. So,
it was. I'm just sad I can't go to any of the other shows.
Yeah, it's the inevitable post-show blues, I'm sure. So,
it happens.
So I was like, it's killing me on the front end of it. If it makes you feel better, it's like at least that'll be the positive of seeing them at the end of the tour. We're like, okay, well the whole thing's kind of done, so I don't have to just be crying as I'm looking at set list after my show. You know? So, yeah, I guess on that note, as we kind of wrap down, did you have many that you hadn't seen before off the top of your head? Probably without comparing set lists, but
other than the 6 new songs, I mean, not really. I don't think. I'm looking at just a quick overview. No, not really. I think I'd seen pretty much all of them played before. Yeah. But you know, I'm not going to complain. Trust, maybe. I think Trust is the one that we saw on the Wish tour. They did Trust, but not since. Not since.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of those, like I say, aren't super rare, but just cool that they're solid, awesome songs like Three Measure Boys and Strange Day and stuff are cool. So, even the fact that Fascination Street's kind of rare on this tour is weird, but that's cool. That's always a fun one live, you know. So
that's the song that sucked me in. So the minute they play Fascination Street, I turn into that 14-year-old boy again, just going,
you know, this is my jam. Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, very cool, man. And well, thanks for walking us through the whole experience there. We won't keep you too long here, and
I feel like I already kept you too long.
So no. I could go all night, but no problem. Thanks for reliving the evening with me there. I always love to imagine it all step by step, and that was great. So thank you, man.
Cool. Of course.
All right. Well, we'll say signing off here from now. Take it easy and thanks.
Keep it nerdy, my friend.
Talk hard.
And talk hard.
Yeah. All right, thanks again, Scott. Always wonderful to hear from you, and so happy that you had a lovely anniversary and Cure experience, night 3 in Hollywood. So thanks for sharing that with us. And I think we're gonna pause here, even though we have 2 more California dates on the horizon at San Francisco. But we're hoping to hear back in some form or another. And also, we got to check in with Andy, I think, at some point pretty soon, too, just to get the recap on all of his stretch of shows from San Diego all the way up to San Francisco, and get the scoop on those meetups and everything from his perspective. So we'll pause here. We'll be back with a quick review of San Francisco and Portland and Seattle before the Cure heads into Canada. All right, so thank you so much to Scott and Chip and you guys for listening. And I know I went a little long, but when I'm talking to Scott, it's too much fun. I gotta let it go. So this is just a review. Go check out a regular episode 2 weeks from now. Check out the past Vance Kelly episode. And while we got Scott here, check him out on his podcast, Sarlacc Digest, every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time, where they talk Star Wars. All right, guys, take it easy out there. Travel safe if you're heading to one of these shows coming up. Hope everybody else is enjoying themselves, and keep the magic rolling. Talk hard.